So, in your opinion, what are the top three platforms that every marketer, at least digitally, should absolutely consider being present on?
So being a little old school, I still think social search and currently video and OTT platforms are where we must absolutely be them. Search obviously because it's intent. So if somebody is looking for something, it makes more than sense that you should be there so that the user thinks that this brand is answering what I'm looking for. And of course, seeing that we are not going anywhere and we are just stuck at home, so we are scrolling a lot on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms. So might as well be there where the audience is.
If I were to put you in a spot, now I know that you're good with a lot of publishers, but if you were to name specifically the top three, in your opinion, what would they be?
Okay,
So let's put it this way. Okay, so social. Okay, so I don't think there's a dispute when you say Facebook or the Facebook family of apps, right?
Yes.
Search again, there's no contention. Like Google is probably 99% of all search, but in the other 85% or 90%, of the publishers, who would you say are the top three right now? Who's doing good?
So from an OTT perspective, I think Hotstar still takes the biggest chunk because of their presence and because they have the the IPL in it. Even though when it is not there, people still think Hotstar is something that they will prefer because the soaps are still running there. So from an OTT perspective, yes, I would prefer Hotstar. From a news consumption pattern, there are so many news platforms, but not all of us have all these platforms or whatever. So aggregators, again, maybe an InShots or a Daily Hunt, depending on who I want to reach out to. So I would prefer a news aggregator over individual publishers. So either a news, an InShots or a Daily Hunt.
So that's good. Now, moving on to the next question, and that's been on the top of everybody's mind. Okay, these are testing times. COVID has pretty much changed the way that we look at a lot of things. Now, in what way did it change your life, and how was the business? And I mean, obviously now we're in a transitionary phase, but how did it impact business at wherever you were before this?
Yeah. So wherever I was before, it was an agency. So unfortunately, my clients, most of them were TV first. So they were very TV heavy pre-COVID times. But when COVID hit, they realized that TV is not helping. So suddenly everybody switched to digital. So they realized the power of being online and reaching out to TG when they are there. So business was good. In fact, it was too good at that time because everybody wanted to explore platforms on digital. Yeah, it was overwhelming because brands that you would never expect to sell or be present online were exploring those platforms.
Can you tell us of instances where you had to sort of tell the brand to tweak their marketing strategy during the initial outbreak of the pandemic? Any tweaks in communication that you think stood out?
So most of them weren't advertising, but one of the key brands that I had was a QSR brand. And the food category was very heavily impacted because people stopped going out and everything was shut. But when things started opening up, say June, July, mid-year last year, safety was one of the primary concerns. So people were still very skeptical about ordering from outside or, dining out or anything that had no home related stuff to it. So safety was our primary communication throughout. No offers or anything helped as much as what a safety communication did. So yes, we had to tweak that. Also targeting from a digital perspective because not all stores were open or you didn't want to just blow your money anywhere and everywhere. A lot of hyperlocal targeting like campaigns were set up and we were reaching out to small but quality kind of people is what the strategy was.
So on that note, what is your opinion about working from home? And, so I'll just break that question down. What would you say that are the three biggest challenges of working from home as a brand marketer? And I'm sure there would be a few perks as well, right? So you can tell me more.
Okay, so personally, I hate it. I just don't like the idea of working from home because home is not where you work. But so the three major challenges were primarily discipline because suddenly people lost track of routine. So there's no waking up at a certain time and doing certain things and then, shutting down. So there was no end time to anything. So we were always available, constantly on calls. So there was no boundary or routine. So that is one of the primary things. Secondly, again, the option of being available at all times. So weekends didn't matter, weekdays didn't matter. It was all the same. And again, people lost, I don't know, but yeah, there was no courtesy maybe, to say no to things. We thought because we're at home, we might as well do the work. And the clients or the brands thought because they're at home, they might as well work for me. So, expectation setting and all of those were a bit challenging.
Did it fundamentally change the way that you work in any particular instance?
Kind of, yes. Because earlier we had deadlines to chase, and we used to have certain timelines that we had put in. I have to finish this task by this, but it just didn't work for me that way, because for me it was like, I can do it. End of day didn't mean 6 p.m. anymore. Okay. It went 12 a.m. So personally, I don't really enjoy this phase, but yeah. And also the lack of physical contact with people, right? There are times you can't really brainstorm on video calls like this. So there were times when if you want to work on a new pitch or a new idea, when there are people around you, it's easier. You can just explain things or you can get things done. And again, when somebody new joins, we had a couple of new joinees and they had a tough time dealing with us because it was not possible to help them or handhold them. And I think when I go to a new place, that's going to be difficult for me as well, because unless someone shows me or tells me what to do, this is not really helping. So while it is a little hypocritical to say, while we are in the digital space and everything is going digital, working, unless you have somebody next to you and you have a team, you see new faces, you see your people, it is not really fun.
Now, moving on to something a little bit more technical, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So to what extent would you say that programmatic media sort of comes into the picture for a brand like, or for the multiple brands that you were handling earlier? And, how is it that basically leveraging audience buying versus typically just praying and spraying helped your brands in the last couple of years?
Okay, so personally, I'm a big fan of programmatic buy. So I believe that chasing the audience and not a particular publisher or a site is much better, because you want to talk to the person irrespective of where he is, albeit it better be contextual. So that it is more economical and it makes more sense, because you don't know where he's going to be when your campaign is on. So might as well be chase the guy you want to talk to and reach out to him wherever he is. And if you could just make it contextual, it's more, because I like things that are customized. So if I'm reading a particular content and if something is very related to that, and if a brand is trying to talk to me in the same language, I would want to engage with that brand because I feel they understand me as an audience. So I would expect to do the same for the audiences as well. So yes, it is much better than...
Works for the audience, works for the
brand
as well. The marketing fraternity almost unanimously agrees that content is king today, right?
Right.
And any instance that comes to your mind, at least top of the mind, where you've seen this really work for you?
Yeah. So one of my clients back then was an OTT platform, and they had launched a show in October last year. And trust me, though the show is amazing and it still tops the charts on IMDb, from a performance campaign, when we are doing subscription-led campaigns, the creatives of that show still is the one that gives me highest subscription at lowest cost. So even though it has lived its life, a shelf life of over 7 months, people still want to subscribe to that platform only to watch this show.
Sure.
So yes, it is important that we show the people what they like. So content does play a major role, and thanks to the creatives of this show, my overall cost for subscription is very low, and it's easier for me to acquire my audiences.
That was obviously from an entertainment standpoint.
Yeah.
So that was an OTT player, so obviously that's their business.
Yeah.
But can you give me like a non-conventional example where you've seen this work? So for instance, you said that a QSR brand, right, was also a client. Now, have they done, has content really exceptionally changed the way that they were getting orders, or not really?
No, because that is a sector which is more impulsive. So you don't really decide that you want to consume a certain product, like you want to eat something like 1 week in advance. So it doesn't really matter. It is, at that moment, what you see is what you want to do. So while yes, indirectly it is content, because unless your offer is exciting or your product, the way you've shown your products is not exciting, you wouldn't want to, order that. So indirectly, yes, but